Hello and welcome everyone. We are back for the second bout between CLG and TSM Academy. Almost said Cloud9, not too sure why. Unfortunately, CLG gonna have to show us something a little bit different in this second game because TSM ran over them in the first game.
Oh my god, I had a pun. I had such a good pun.
What was the pun?
I was saying you could say they took over the game.
Yeah.
But I guess it's going to be overused by the time TakeOver makes it into the LCS or other teams. The guy's looking good on a lot of the meta picks. The Lee Sin, Rumble, Sets trio that TSM piloted just snowballed the game so quickly that CLG felt like never really took an opportunity, never even had a chance to actually come back into this one, because this was really the only play where they were able to answer against TSM, and it was still a 1-for-2.
Certainly was. It did feel like, it was mostly bad trade deals for CLG, and then everything just went wrong. I mean, this play, both ADs are trying to bait each other, and Yosan finds the angle to make sure this fight absolutely goes TSM's way.
Yeah, normally when you have one bad trade deal, you stay away from making more of those with the same team that you've been trading with. But if you got no place else to go, you're just going to keep going down these deals until the game is over. And that's kind of what went down, as the score at the end of the game was just so massive. And this was Hanser feeling so confident he could 1v3 the team. And at the very end, though, Gwen does do enough damage to actually take him out, which was quite surprising. It felt like RJS damage was more than teams would have anticipated, considering how far behind he was this game, just showing the power of the Gwen, but just not powerful enough. Sick. At the face breaker.
Hyper doesn't commit. Ulti.
Oh.
So nice. I mean, Hyper's Rumble is real good, by the way. Like, it's tough, right? Like, Lee Sin, maybe, like, he's a very fancy champion. TakeOver played super well, so, like, I feel like he's the player that you want to highlight, but... And Haunter, like, played super well too, but, like, we know Haunter, like, we've seen plenty of highlights from Haunter throughout his career, and it is good to see him playing well in Academy here alongside the rest of his teammates. But, like, Hyper might be the slept-on player in that game. It's a few times we've seen his Rumble now, and I feel like basically every time it looks amazing, and that game was a real nice showcase for him.
Yeah, when the rest of the team is able to work with him, when he can team up with the mid laner and find advantages that make the rest of the team shine, as a jungler, you actually really like that sweet spot. Because you don't want to be targeted, you don't want to be focused down, you just want to be quiet in the backline, just dealing so much damage, and especially when you're the single magic damage threat, like a Rumble in an all-AD composition, the more you can go unnoticed, the more you can surprise the enemy with your positioning, with your damage, and especially because they just won't have any magic resistance, a single well-placed equalizer can be enough to win any team fight.
I feel like this is the thing we kind of keep learning about Rumble, right? Because equalizer is so powerful, and obviously if you use it ultimate well and you're set up well for it, that can be enough. But a lot of times, like, the separation of good and great Rumbles, at least in fights, is like, did you place your ultimate well, and are you, like, using the rest of your significantly shorter ranged abilities to also continue to dish out damage, right? Because sometimes, especially in closer games, it's not enough to just drop the equalizer and that be good enough. You have to actually get in there and throw harpoons at people and spit flames on them and manage your heat properly. And Rumble often, like, wants to flash flame spitter in at some point and overheat, but that puts you in a very vulnerable spot when you do that, right? The damage output very high, but the ability for the enemy to kill you also very high. So Rumble really doesn't want to be the first person to flash in, but he'll happily follow somebody else flashing in. And this is why we always talk about, like, Rumble needs setup, not just so you can put people on your ulti and have them stay there, but because the rest of Rumble's kit, like, doesn't really help him get in range to finish people off. It's other people going alongside them where he can really shine.
And if they're not there, so much of that responsibility is just on the Rumble player. And a lot of the times, a Rumble can win the fight by just flashing aggressively on the AD carry. If he has an angle, flash double harpoon into the overheated flame spitter can be enough to just one-shot somebody. But if the Rumble isn't confident, isn't familiar with the damage at certain item spikes, then he just won't have that play under his belt, and so he'll hang far back. He'll only drop an equalizer. He'll be shy about participating in the fight because of his range and his squishiness. And so the difference between these playmaking Rumbles and the ones that are just getting used to the champion can be night and day.
All right, we'll see what happens here in the draft. Is Hyper going to get Rumble again? Do TSM Academy continue to leave Gwen open? All this and more coming up. Also, Set Lee Sin are going to be big priorities here in this draft, but not yet for CLG. It's going to be Renekton and Akali banned. It's going to be Tahm Kench and Lulu banned by TSM Academies. So a lot of the staple champions being picked off here, but CLG not changing their strategy too much by the look of things.
And I really need to see CLG change it, though, because it's already been a 0-3 week thus far. If they can win here, they can salvage it, but that is not what you want to be doing for your scoreline when you're already at 3-12. They need to get some wins to claw themselves out of the hole that they're currently in, and a change in draft is the recipe here. You do have the Lee open, you do have the set as well. Rumble is available if they really feel like they should take that, but I think just keeping things simple, deny the pick that TSM beat you with, the set and the Lee were a bigger priority, and then go with what worked for you. The Fiddlesticks, please do not first pick Tristana. Please do not do this. Okay. Whew. That's better. Viego's acceptable. Yeah, all Viego's right. Acceptable.
Well, that is the first pick there for CLG. Curious if Sejuani is going to make an appearance alongside him, or if it's going to be something maybe a little bit more familiar to the things we've seen. This does give TSM Academy Gwen, though. Gwen Lee Sin feels like a real good start to any draft.
They could copy what TL just did to them yesterday on blue side, which was Viego, Sejuani, Renekton for the first 3 picks, and then they had a Swain and Nautilus in the bottom lane, but taking that shouldn't be too difficult to execute upon. However, they don't want to just copy somebody else's homework. They would like their own signature on their draft, and they will lock in the Rumble, but at least the Nautilus will combine into it. So they're bringing a flavor that is familiar, that has gotten a lot of wins, but again, it's nothing new for CLG. And so the things that have been not new for them have put them in a 3-12 scoreline. So I don't feel too confident about what CLG is doing, continuing to play around the same draft that they've done thus far.
Oh, actually going back to Ali here, maybe because of the Nautilus in particular. So I think, oh no, Hooks did have Nautilus last game because it's just easy to remember because of his name.
Yeah.
Also, Nautilus is like the support in every game. So interesting that your son is going to Alistar instead. I think perfectly good. Especially if they do take something like Ezreal again, like Alistar, not the best laner, but Ezreal doesn't really mind. He can just happily farm up and be okay. And Alistar is very useful in the mid game, especially if you can get out of lane and start roaming around and causing some engages. Jace though banned by TSM. CLG are going to ban Tristana, so definitely bottom lane on the brain. We'll see if Ezreal maybe joins that pool as well, because I have a feeling TSM Academy will happily take it if CLG Academy don't want to take it away from.
Even though Ezreal could be slippery, though, I feel like CLG has enough damage to actually make sure that they could take down any AD carry. You have a lot of magic damage between the Nautilus and the Rumble, so I wouldn't worry about the Ezreal stacking armor and him being difficult to deal with. So I think that just a single AD carry ban should be enough for CLG, and that they'd be better off prioritizing their other lanes. It probably will be Gwen into the top side and Lee into the mid lane, banning out junglers that are powerful against Rumble could put TSM in a trickier situation because Diana, Fiddlestick still available. They don't want to overlap much into the magic damage from Gwen, but their value as an engager, I think, is more than enough to make up for it.
I was going to say, if nothing screams, I want Ezreal like banning Callista, so TSM Academy did predictably take that. Zoe was the ban, which makes them at least respect the possibility of Lee Sin as a flex pick, which is interesting to see. But I imagine that is Takeover's champ once again, and I'm curious what Hyper is going to take against Rumble that he did just have such a good game on. Kai'Sa, Silas, though, are the picks for CLG Academy. Draft actually finishing up pretty quickly here. Both teams fairly confident in their strategy, but it is looking like jungle Lee Sin crumbs, with Lucian being hovered here. Oh, Diana, though, instead. So it's not jungle Lee.
Okay. Diana. Yeah, this I like. I was thinking maybe you could go Sejuani, even though it's not very good with the Gwen and the Lee. They don't really stack auto attacks. They don't have any abilities that count as auto attack triggers like the Renekton or the Viego, but the Diana is a good matchup into the Rumble. It's going to be fine, comboed with the Alistar as an engage tool, and you do have plenty of magic damage bursts here. So I like what TSM have thus far, but I think that CLG have finally given themselves the tools to actually win some team fights. They're going to have to get past the early game cleanly. That was a problem this last game. If they can just hit the mid game evenly, you do have a Sylas that can steal an Alistar ultimate, and that is always a great feeling as someone that can just run into a team fight and bulldoze their way into starting the fight for the rest of the team.
Yeah, Sylas has a pretty healthy number of ultis to take, actually, so I'm going to be feeling pretty good. Also, interesting matchup in the top side, but I can see where Sylas might be okay here, given that Gwen is very good, especially in the early levels. I think Viego versus Lee Sin is going to be an interesting one. This, to me, just feels like a skill matchup, right? Viego is pretty good against other melees, but so is Lee Sin. I'm guessing if the matchup goes the way it's supposed to go, that it's going to be mostly just farming and a lot of trading back and forth to try and get an edge. But if Takeover has anything to say about it, especially if Hyper wants to visit the lane early on again, then RJS is going to have a tough time, given how Lee Sin went last time for Takeover.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking about. How well did Takeover play that lane into RJS? Because the way he engaged, RJS is pretty much 100% HP. He really saw an opportunity that I don't think RJS was aware of. So it tells me the Takeover really understanding the limits of this Lee Sin pick thus far, and knows at the very least that in this matchup he will need to go with the Doran shield. Stay alive, stay healthy, wait for that level 6, and then combo into your jungler.
Yeah, you get queued a lot in this matchup as Lee Sin. So you want to try and shrug off that almost poke that Viego has against other melee champions, kind of like Yasuo in some ways, where you can just long enough to poke through the minion wave and keep hitting you, although Viego's Q is even longer than Yasuo's by quite a lot, as Cody-san is checking for people in the brush, but there are none, as we can see. It is a pretty defensive fan here for CLG here, wanting to overcommit any one spot early, as Hyper actually going to be trading off here with Takeover, as they are looking for a potential lane swap here. I like this a lot from TSM Academy. Trying to figure out where the matchups are going, and I think they think, or now they know, that Viego is in the mid lane, which is where Haunter wants to be, or at least he doesn't want to be up against Sylas.
And they don't miss out on any experience out of it, so it's a well-timed swap, and maybe now Haunter with the Ignite will have an advantage against RJS, so maintaining kill pressure on multiple lanes, and I feel like there is better setup with the Sylas into the top lane against the Gwen, since Gwen doesn't have flash, and so this should mean that TSM can play top lane with way more aggression, since Lee Sin can always just ward hop or minion hop out of Sylas's range.
Yeah, these aren't matchups that I'm like super duper familiar with, but I think on paper that TSM are very happy with both his solo lane matchups. Haunter getting ignited. Actually, Haunter no igniting. It's RGS that's gonna die. The trade will happen, but Haunter still gets first blood, I believe.
That's worth it. That's worth it for TSM. First blood for Haunter. He's going to TP back into the lane to crash that wave, and now they know exactly where the Rumble is pathing towards. Now, CLG does have knowledge of Diana because of a ward drop into the Raptor camp, but it all starts because Haunter hits level 2 first and is dashing forward to take advantage of that level experience difference. And then RJS has the exhaust, but it really doesn't do much this early into the game. The Ignite is going to be more powerful later on. Wait a minute, hang on. That's not RJS running exhaust. That's exhaust on Keel. What? Okay.
I mean, I kind of see it into Diana. Also makes Rumble's ganks a little bit more potent. Not having flash could be troublesome. Let's put it that way. I'm guessing he's going Rocket Bell, but maybe we'll find out. He has Conqueror, which maybe leans towards Riftmaker or Night Harvest. But you know what, Crumbs? I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to put it in the we'll find out later column, but that's a cool choice for Keel.
I think we're going to find out how many times will Keel die packing exhaust here, because the only other champions that run this in the jungle have been picks like Karthus that are totally okay with dying and power clearing, not never really having to gank or even worried about being kicked into the enemy team. Picks like Graves with plenty of dashes, the Hecarim's, but that faded out quickly.
Shaco.
So, all right, Shaco, like they all have great mobility spells, or just really don't care if they die. Rumble has none of those things. So against the likes of Lee Sin, an Alistar, he is gonna be fodder when he gets caught up by himself. So he'll have to play super carefully and well around vision to make up for his lack of mobility.
Kind of interesting. Ken actually has 2 levels in Q. which is not the most common Silas Max, usually W. I'm curious how many W levels Takeover wants in this matchup. Gives you a pretty good indicator of what Lee Sin thinks of the lane. For example, last game, Takeover max E first. And looks like he might be doing that again. Does at least have 2 points right now, but always fun to track those little things. Again, one of the big things, at least, one of the big reasons Lee Sin is so good is his general flexibility. You can kind of see that here. He was a easy triple flex in this game. Swapped to top lane with 0 problems, and matchups looking just fine right now. In fact, both TSM Academy solo laners looking good in their respective 1v1s, even if you flip the portraits to where they're supposed to be, in air quotes. Both are ahead in CS, with Gen being the one more behind than RJ.
Yeah, and those solo lanes just staying, pressuring CLG, allow Diana to just power farm, to know that she's okay, just clearing camps, and she's going to be rushing the Nashor's Tooth, as it seems to be the most common build that we see for Diana. It's the one that increases her jungle clear the fastest, and that just means that she's going to be so deadly come team fights, as we've seen her just decimate teams every time she gets picked. Level 6 happens, finds multiple people clumped up, and they just all die.
It's such a satisfying ultimate as Diana. You just click it, everyone gets pulled in, and then they get like the moon drops on them and they explode. Very fun to use.
It was a really good mini rework for Diana, because it felt like she needed to be a little more modernized in how her abilities worked, and just a few tweaks here and there were enough to take her from, oh, maybe she's good just because her numbers are okay, to, okay, this totally fits in the current theme of League of Legends. Let's see if Hanzo overextends in the meantime, trying to punish this TP, but he's thinking better of it. The wave is getting pushed in too aggressively.
I mean, Hanzo probably wants to make a play, but we'll decide against it. Does not have TP. He's already used it in the mid lane. Takeover, though, does have his. Again, already TP'd back to top lane, so Takeover with a very early executioner's calling as well. He is, like, ready to put his opponent in the dumpster today, I feel like.
It works either Silas or Viego, so it's going to be really good.
That's true. Takeover now. Fighting back again, though, with a good little trade. Steals the ulti, gets himself kicked, and Takeover's going to run away.
I think he actually needed to go for that kick right there, because TN could have flash kicked him into the team. Here he goes.
Kick. That's a kill. TN with a very nice play.
Yeah, he saw that Leo was playing too aggressively, and now Hooks is caught.
Yeah, this looks like a kill to me. Level 4 Nautilus does flash away. Not dead yet, but the last few autos do get blocked, and here comes Keel with the Rumble ulti. Now your son is going to get himself caught. Katsuri with the flash over. Ignite down onto Cody. That's going to be a kill for the Rumble. Very nice save there for CLG.
Your son is committing so much to try to pick on Hooks, but the jungler just wasn't there. This was CLG's territory. They defended well, and we have an entirely different look from CLG as last game. The one difference, though, is that despite CLG being ahead in the kills, gold has remained the same. The differences in farm are all in the favor of TSM. So despite the losses, they still feel like they're on top of their game. And now Hyper at level 6 should get a kill on Katsuri, but he's too far away. He's okay letting him go.
Yeah, Ward there with giving Kaiser enough time. So Katsuri will be okay. There's 2 kills on the Rumble, though. Definitely in a good place for CLG as far as early gold goes. So Rumble is set up to have a pretty big impact on the early parts of this mid game. Especially with the ultimate cooling back off. As Hyper maybe going to get himself caught at his own raptor camp here. The wraparound through the red buff is coming, and Hyper going to commit to it. And now this is a problem. Does flash very quickly. Nicely played there, but has to dodge out the hook. Does indeed dodge number 1. But now going to have to try and fight. Pops a Moonfall there. Is going in for the fight. The exhaust is down low. Just doesn't have enough there. And CLG had their own first. So Keel now on a killing spree.
I really like that CLG did not kill the Blastcom, but they are still fighting. They have members advantage here. CLG can win this.
Takeover looking for the hook, but CLG's equalizer is real nice. Takeover kicking him through. Haunter takes out RJS, and now Tiang with the stolen Alcer ulti is going to have it wear off relatively soon. Haunter looking to snip his way to victory. Your son finds to re-engage. TSM Academy just turn it around as your son looking for hooks on the last play. Q's going to land, of course it is. And Takeover breaks over. Triple kill for the Lee Sin.
TSM just outplayed CLG so beautifully there. CLG, even though they had more members, did not commit everybody at the same time and then got kicked with the Lee Sin, getting 2 members at once, and it was just a whitewash here. Let's see the kick from Takeover, because it actually ends up being beautifully lined up. The equalizer makes me think, okay, they're gonna lose this fight, but then Viego gets instantly blown up. The Q is then right on the Silas, so he can cross the gap over the equalizer, and then the Alistar is still chasing. Presence of mind to stay in range for a combo, but we still got another fight top lane over the Herald as Viego and Ezreal are making their way over.
Heal doesn't have ulti really critically here, so gonna have to wait for that one. It's not too far away, but TSM do want to protect Haunter's low health bar. Hyper does get the Rift Herald kill. What are you doing there? Hyper gonna punish you. Moonfall popped and Haunter gets the kill.
CLG, no business being there because they did not commit everybody. TSM clearly sent more members out and CLG was already getting an advantage bottom. It's gonna be Kai'Sa pushing that wave out. She's getting plates. Teleport from Haunter is here, but CLG wants to engage again. Oof.
Alright, Rift Herald pop. There's gonna be some plate gold over to Cody. Poking down as well. Plates get popped. Happy days for TSM Academy. And again, kill. I mean, wouldn't have had it in that instance because his exhaust is on cooldown, potentially. But no flash, right? Means Rumble in that spot cannot get away ever. So
that's why I forgot entirely he's running this. It's like, how is he so easy to pick?
I don't think it was more. I think it's because he's not standing in the correct place. The TSM do punish. Again, they are just going in whenever they see an opportunity. And Yosan apparently sees every angle. Katsuri getting herded around his own tower now. Oh, it's a beautiful combo out of Yosan. So easy for Takeover to grab. Haunted probably didn't even need to ulti, but it does for funsies, I guess.
They know CLG just isn't there. They just saw hooks in the top side. They know he had to base.
It's gonna happen again.
Again?
RJS, no! Ulti gets cute by Takeover. And there's going to be the kill. The Tempest confirms that Hook's now in trouble. Aftershock wearing off. Only level 5. He's dead as well. Equalizes just too late. CLG are falling apart, Crumbs.
Oh, they're just getting cut down by Haunter and the rest of the team. TSM and still is getting a dragon while this whole play is happening in the top side. They're still catching waves. They are destroying CLG, who looked like they had some hope with the Keel getting 2 early kills, but then this turret of doom was just the place of the sacrifice of CLG. TSM just kept sending members and CLG kept offering tributes.
Takeover now. 6-1 and 2 on the Lee Sin. Hyper getting flash hooked on a really nice aim there for Hooks. Moonfall not enough to save you this time, Diana, as Keel will grab kill number 4. Rumble is still doing pretty well, but gonna have to outpace a Fed Gwen and a Feder Lee Sin.
Gonna have to do a lot more of those. So, I mean, they still have angles to go after because with the Nautilus and the Rumble, you do have a really strong way to find members to get these picks, but the problem will be dealing with TSM when it is their time to find a play, because now Takeover really can't be 1v1. He lost his first team fight, or his first 1v1 against TN, but those days are over. He now has his completed mythic. He's so far ahead. They need to send multiple members to deal with him. And that's exactly what they're doing, except TSM is also shadowing. Hyper is behind Takeover. If anything were to happen, it'll be a 2v3 with the strongest member of TSM.
Well, I like that from Takeover. He's like, well, I think maybe someone's in this brush. Actually used the brush instead. They're pretty aware of something that could be happening here. Hyper has not been spotted yet, but now will be. If he wasn't already, as that control ward does reveal that ward, and he does kill it. Your son also roaming up. So, CLG was setting up for a play, but very respectful there by Takeover not to overextend, despite how ahead he is in the game in general. And TSM will move back down to protect Cody now, who's looking to work on these mid plates. He's got 20 seconds left to keep farming them.
And doesn't want to truly overextend for it when his bot and support and jungle have left him, but That doesn't mean that he can't assist with other plays, because there's still plates in the top side that TSM can still go after. And so keeping members here with the vision that they initially set up around the control wars just lets them take over the blue side jungle entirely uncontested. TSM is just happy to pressure CLG, bouncing between the two waves that they're pushing and waiting to see if CLG sends members through the unsuspecting darkness.
All right, well, so for all the back and forth here, TSM is still massively far ahead in this game. I feel like that's the thing that's maybe got away from us, because the early game has been so fun, but it's not even 15 minutes into the game. TSM have now taken 2 towers, and they're 7,000 gold ahead.
Yeah, they are.
7,000. As a reminder, our most commonly used number for a team being very far ahead in a game is 10,000. And that's usually like the 30-minute mark. If it's 30 minutes, you're 10k ahead, that's a really good game for you. There's 7,000 ahead in half that time!
10k leads are, it's the stuff of, all right, we're surprised you're still holding on to this game, but it feels like if you wanted to surrender, I mean, it's by other reasons that you're not doing it, but a 7,000 gold lead is quite close to that. It really is those kinds of leads that make you wonder, like, oh, you need so many plays and a few mistakes from the enemy team, especially in the current meta where diving is just so explosive that it's so hard to hold on to a game when the enemy team can just march into the jungle and take whatever fight they want.
Do this. Yeah, Hyper just getting in there. And Hyper just deletes RJS. Because if I'm trying to illustrate the gold lead crumbs, I mean, Haunts is doing it for me because he has a Magice as his second item. That's pretty sick. Both solo laners are about 3,000 gold ahead of their counterparts on the TSM Academy side. So Gwen is a bit over 3,000 gold ahead of, I guess, Viego? I mean, it doesn't matter. They're 3,000 ahead of either of them. I think Haunts is slightly further. Actually, I think Viego is slightly further ahead, but it doesn't matter. They're, like, so far ahead. And gold leads are, like, eventually a game goes on long enough where the gold lead matters less and less, right? That is obviously not true in the early game, where gold lead matter a lot. And Katsuri's about to get himself Edwarded. So it does get himself out of there. Oh, takeover instead. Godlike is very appropriate there. TSM going to take the rest of the fight. Takeover zoned off here. Equalizer down, not bad. You're on the threat. Now Takeover trying to rejoin the fight. Into the waiting arms of Hooks he goes, but TN very tanky with the ulti, but Hooks not so lucky. Takeover takes him out. And RJS tries to dive in and gets punished instead, as Tien cannot hold on, as TSM Academy will just keep the snowball rolling.
They tried to answer these kills. They were so close to taking down the lead, but he actually ends up getting a triple kill out of this whole fiasco. That is now that faded 10,000 gold lead pastry. It is now at that point 16 minutes in.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It almost would have been too early when you hit that lead to even surrender before 15.
All right, let's watch this one again, because this dive is very nicely done by TSM.
Yeah, so look at Hooks actually walks past Takeover, who routes him from the Wolf camp as soon as the dash comes out really quick on this resonating strike there. That was a very impressive hop out of him, and then CLG is attempting something, layering the equalizer, but then Takeover just hops over. There's no way the members can flash over and get after him, so then he gets 2 kills, then backs up with the Q, and ends up with a unofficial triple.
Yeah, Haunter unfortunately didn't get any kills, so didn't get any opportunities to get more pages in the book because he was late to that particular fight. But Takeover now 9-1-2 on the Lee Sin. If the first Lee Sin game wasn't impressive enough. And Cody once again is on vacation. He's just chilling. You know, he's farming up. He's doing fine. He's got 4 assists. He's feeling pretty good. We're looking to build that Manamune pretty soon. Has 315 droplets in the tier already, but doesn't need to do much. So its soul lanes are more than taking care of this game, and TSM are just across the board playing super well.
TSM has been just so good as the season has progressed. It's actually been so impressive to see the addition of Takeover. I thought they'd look good with Sword, but with Takeover now, it feels like this team now just has a linchpin in the mid lane that was previously struggling to synergize with the rest of the team. This fit has been so seamless. It feels like he's been here forever.
Yeah. I agree, and you know, if you want like context, just look in the top right corner of your screen. This win will put TSM at 500 as they're diving the mid lane tier 2. Heal is dead. Hyper make sure of that. In fact, it's Gwen that gets the last kill, so Haunter writes a few more pages in the Magi's. And now the Rift Herald's charging through mid. Are we going to get Dancing Shelly? I don't think so, because she's only got 221 health. The CLG can at least snipe that one. Oh, be careful! Oh, she's okay. All right. Keep escorting Shelly to the Nexus.
They're doing it.
They want it. Yeah, they want it. I mean, also like under 20 minutes. Okay, never mind. Shelly, I'm sorry. Your mission cannot be completed. That tower, though, gets almost insta-killed by the Rift Herald. Your son gets his way out of the base by way of Hex Flash, creating a little base gate next to the actual base gate. And Cody's gonna, you know, jack your red buff on the way up, because why not? Might as well take everything you can when you already have everything.
It was a noble Shelly. It was a noble of effort by her. She will be remembered by having more attempts from now on in every single game. We will
remember her in the next game when we see her again.
She never dies.
Over. Hyper get himself burnt up. Not that strong at on Diana, so Keel does make it happen really nice there from the Rumble. I mean, the Rumble is the big point right now, right? You know, Keel's going to have to find a sequence of heroic ultimates to maybe do enough to keep CLG in this game, because they are so far behind everywhere else.
It's 12k ahead now, right? It's pretty ginormous. You need to chain so many of those kills. It's one of those stories that once you're watching a movie or something and you're trying to really figure out, okay, does the good guy come back? Is the villain gonna win? Like, where does the story really end? You're trying to identify the plot, trying to predict it. This is one of those where you're really caught on quickly that the villain is going to win. There is not going to be a comeback. It's just going to be a destruction from start to finish.
All right, well, TSM, see what happens. I like what CLG are doing, right? Just try something, right? You have to get picks. You need to delay TSM for as long as possible. You must get gold, right? Even if you trade, like, that is gold you get. TSM aren't getting that much stronger, right? JS, it's going to be a 1v3. Never mind. The brushery pays off. Oh, I take it back. Take over. Great TP. 1-2. Easy as you like.
Oh.
And here comes your son to take the RJS. Oh, Viego, your path will not save you. Even donates a kill over to Hyper. What a great support player.
And that was the play they were looking for. That was it. That was the attempt. And TSM just quickly deny it. I mean, the great support player will need to show off that greatness in the next one, because TSM is just not allowing anything to come out of the CLG camp. They are just so ridiculously far ahead. This Gwen, the Lee, every single member. And you wonder, you feel almost for the life of the AD carry, who rarely got to participate in these games.
Yeah, I wish he was using the soccer skin, because Cody's done a great job spectating this game. Takeover just saves Haunter there, he finds the easiest double of his life, and your son runs on RJS for this other one here. And Cody, he's Secret Agent Cody, 007 right now, but still yet to get a kill, as he's, you know, the last of these plays that are already over by the time he arrives. And it's not his fault. His team's just playing really well, himself included, as TSM are going to take this third dragon because I guess they should, but they're not going to need the soul. I don't think we're getting there at this point. It's not impossible, but it is extremely unlikely.
That's exactly it. They feel like they should, just in case. Takeover does face check.
I like this. Again. Ooh, kick. Ooh, wrong way. Over the top we go, though. Lee Sin's so mobile as Yosan is cornering the rest of CLG. Keel is the target they want, but Takeover just takes out the Silas. Equalizer's not going to connect, and Hooks is now getting Moonfall back in. Hyper's popping off on the backside of the fight. Goes into stasis. RJS getting blown to pieces. Takeover, the initial champion that was caught, has already got himself a double kill. And now a little bit of BM there as your son follows up. That's going to be a triple kill out for the Lee Sin. It's going to be the Lee Sin Penta. Katsuri, he's the one in trouble now. Next, make it 4. Oh, it's Haunter that takes it away. And RJS is in his own jungle. Sorry, the enemy jungle trying to hide. But TSM Academy, they're going to take the dub. Here comes. It is such a display of dominance here for TSM.
They are looking like one of our top teams. Pace 300 Thieves just took down Cloud9, but a matchup between TSM and the Thieves, I think, is due for a really intense Academy showdown, because the way that TSM just defeated CLG today was just ridiculous. This was a complete dominating affair. Individual outplays, good team play, defending against what CLG was trying to do. They are really showing up here in Academy, and to reclaim the title, because before Cloud9 was the dominating force in the Academy series, before the 100 Thieves Someday timeline, it was TSM.
It was, and it has been a while since TSM have been that dominant in Academy, right? And again, the crazy thing to me is they come off those two games. Obviously, CLG are struggling in Academy, right? I think it's fair to call that out, where TSM were the favorites going into this one, so them sweeping isn't necessarily a surprise. It's the fashion in which they did it, though, that's really impressive.
And this was the play that really set the tone to the game. It was these 3v4 on the side of TSM, still dealing with the equalizer, but a really nice kick with Gwen dealing so much damage. She actually was able to keep everybody on CLG slowed down with her ultimate, the needlework, and then they're able to chase. I actually think that I did not see Takeover miss a single resonating strike this game. His Lee Sin was immaculate. Watch it miss here.
Yeah. Oh no, not even close.
It's just
all right.
Deadly.
We'll keep watching. Maybe he misses one. Probably not in the replays we have, right? I don't think we'd do him like that. Oh, this dive. This was so nice for TSM. RJS just unfortunate spot to be put in, but gets redove here, and yeah, of course he doesn't miss.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, he might not have actually missed. This is where I want that data that you were talking about. The
skill shot accuracy.
Yeah, skill shot accuracy. Let's measure it, because look at how quickly it's coming out. Bam! Right, kick into Q. He looks like one of the most practiced Lee Sins. Even jungle Lee Sins that have been playing this for years aren't actually as clean as we just saw Takeover be.
He missed one. We finally saw one. Finally saw him miss one.
Let me take that back. I've seen some cleaner Lee Sins.
Not so bad, though. Really impressive games back-to-back from TSM across the board. As even this turnaround, I mean, again, TSM are really far ahead, so this clip's always going to look good, but even this little thing, right? Boop, takes the cue that he already set up. Takeover's just got really good game awareness, right? It's one thing to have good hands, and his mechanics are clearly very, very good. It's another to also have the game awareness to understand what plays you can make and what your limits are in different situations. And he has both great mechanics and really good game IQ. And I assume once his experience and his comms and maybe its general understanding kind of continues to grow, this is a player on maybe one of the fastest tracks we've seen towards the LCS, right? He is so impressive given how little we've seen him play in Academy.
Yeah, this is a very exciting time to be watching Academy. It actually is my favorite. The best of twos, the fact that you get so many teams actually developing talent and scouting from all over the world is really shaping up to be a very close end of the season, because when playoffs come around, we already have seen a lot of these teams play in the best of series, but when we get to see those best of fives really go the distance, and then we test the endurance of these players, then I feel like we would really get to see the entire scope of what these players can offer.
Right, and to kind of recontextualize, this win puts TSM at 8-8. They were not doing particularly well, to kick off their seasons. So definitely nice for them to battle back. They do look like one of the more threatening teams in Academy, especially when they're playing at their ceiling. And for a team that is very clearly on the rise, given their record, would have them as, a middling team in Academy right now. It is very threatening, very scary for the top teams that are in those spots right now, for the TLs, for the 100 Thieves, and even for the C9s, right, that have definitely not had the best showing this week, right? Almost the inverse of what TSM have had so far. So a team that will clearly only get better, and given how well they looked, in fairness, against an opponent that I think they should have had a fairly straightforward time against, that is really scary stuff for Academy. Very exciting team to be watching right now.
Yeah, and on the flip side, I think CLG can still bring it together. No, they're really struggling here, but we have seen Golden Guardians make a comeback, and I think it really started with them honing into specific drafts that fit the identity of the players. CLG need to go back to that. They had found the fiddlestick that worked, and I want to see them return to that. It really caught, I believe it was Cloud9 off guard when they were playing at the top of their game, or even it was IMT, just one of the teams that's really showing up here. So Cloud9, not an easy team to take down, despite the 0-2 week that they had today. So I think that CLG just needs to go back to the drawing board, notice what is beating them in a lot of these games, and realize that a lot of it is that the enemy's having these drafts that feel so modern in the champions and the way that it is executed, and they have to select something like that as well.
All right, with all that being said, we do have another Verizon post-game interview. It is my pleasure to bring Hyper onto the broadcast after a pretty dominant 2-0. Hyper, how's it feeling?
Yeah, it feels good to beat TLG because I played a solo queue game before this, and RJS, he was just like all chatting to me. Pretty weird.
Oh, that's personal now. Okay.
Yeah.
What is your take on the jungle meta right now? Are you really feeling the Rumble Diana? What is your like rock paper scissor of champions? Because it feels like Diana really good when the Rumble is up, but then Rumble if you have enough synergies. What are your preferences?
I feel like I'm forced on Rumble and Diana every game because we play AD mids. I want to play like Lee, but we don't play AP mids with Takeover. So yeah.
Free
Yeah.
Hyper.
I guess-
Okay.
Free Hyper. I mean, your Rumble's pretty good, so I don't know if your team can complain too
I think half of my
much.
games are on Rumble. That's why.
I think you're
I
probably
only
right.
play him. Yeah.
All right, you heard it here first. Time to get Hyper a new champion here, even though he does
Yeah.
look very good on the ones you're playing. What is it like, actually, been playing with a different mid laner here? How is Takeover maybe different stylistically to how Sword plays?
I think they're both good, but like with Rico Sword, we play like mages, and Takeover we play Set, Renekton, Viego and stuff. So they're different, but I think they're both good.
What has been the most exciting thing for you about Academy this split thus far? Because in the first split, you weren't playing in Academy, so you just get to come into the team right away and instantly just jump into the best of two. So do you feel like you just came in at the very right time to play Academy, or were you hoping that maybe you could ride out another split and then just return even stronger, maybe jump straight into the LCS?
Wait, what was the question?
How do you like Academy?
Oh, it's good. I like it because I actually get to play versus decent players. Because I was playing collegiate before this, and I don't think they're that good.
Oh, confidence there from Hyper. Clearly, in this game, showing off why he has every reason to be confident. Hyper, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast.
Thank you.
Alrighty, well, apparently doesn't like Rumble, but I got bad news for you, Hyper. When your Rumble's that good, you're going to be on Rumble duty for a lot of games. So maybe, like, I don't know, miss a couple more ultis or something. I don't know what to tell you. You can't tell a competitive player to not play to win, but look, if you don't want the Rumble, you're going to have to, I don't know, be less good in it, or we're going to have to nerf Rumble. I have no idea.
Right, your coach is like, listen, here are your win rates on this. Here's how the team operates. Like, we're gonna just need you to play Rumble one more time. Just do it for the team. And the coach is just thinking, how many angles can I use to convince him to play Rumble all the way? Like, all right, here's a free dinner. All right, we'll give you some. You can choose draft for playoffs. Okay, thank you for playing.
I mean, maybe it's another one now. It's like, hey, you've seen Takeover Sleep? That guy's pretty good in the champion. I think we're going to keep giving it to him. TSM with a dominant 2-0 sweep of CLG, but we have one more Academy series tonight before we end things here on this stream. So don't go too far away. Our final series of the evening is coming up after this.